We will take a short break in the presentations here and give you the opportunity also to ask and comment in the sense before then. These are the real doers within Baltic Deal. The rest of us that will comment on this project are more a little aside, or we are working interlinked with them, but not directly with the farming issues as such. So we take some questions now to these Sindre, Stina and Erika.
My name is Lina Yukonita. What do you mean by green agriculture? Is it ecological agriculture or?
It's like a term like more greener, you know, like to use like agro-environmental measures, for example, I don't know, put some manure storages or something, you know, like to not pollute so much.
It does not mean the ecological agriculture?
No. In some countries there were a preference for organic farms, but in general it's both conventional and organic farms. The whole essence is about improving practices to reduce the losses of nutrients from the farms, and both organic and conventional farms are losing nutrients, but by improving practices both types of farms can improve. So we covered both these big categories.
Okay.
Monika Cholewczyńska, Poland, self-government in the region. I have a question concerning challenges during the implementation of the project. Which challenges could you name or did you face during the implementation of the project? Challenges connected, for example, with the national regulations in the agriculture sector, or maybe another you can name?
Of course, with a project like this, there are many challenges, but the topic is about communication. So I think if we link it to what you said about regulations, I think one challenge is that some countries, when it concerns agri-environmental measures, may have a very regulative approach to that. In the project, Denmark is an example where they are very strict on regulations. In some countries, the voluntary approaches are preferred, and I'm not sure about Lithuania, but Sweden is an example where the farming community are striving for finding voluntary solutions. So there is a culture in some countries to actually work proactively and to be very much engaged from the beginning, and I think that is some sort of challenge in some countries. But I think maybe Stina, you have some concrete things on this topic. Actually, we haven't been looking so much on problems. Everything has, in terms of communication, been carried out in, I think, in an adaptive way. I mean, we of course, even if the European Union has a common agriculture policy, I don't think you find any other sector that is as national as the agriculture sector. I mean, each country has their own way of doing things. So I guess the first year was very much a learning process in hitting a sort of common ground, and I think the last 2 years were extremely productive. But also this language thing is, I think, is not a challenge, but it's a problematic, because in a project team you can always use English, but if you want to reach out to national advisors, national farmers, it doesn't work. So in terms of identifying the gold nuggets that you really want all farmers to be able to read throughout the region, it's very, very hard to actually make that selection. And I don't know if there was anything more than this final report that was actually published in national languages. There were translations done for many things, but for all countries in the same way. That was the only thing we ended up with, because translations costs are very high. So the national partners had to pick and select what to translate into national languages.
I'm Lars Fernvall from Vinnova, the Swedish Innovation Agency. I don't know very much of farming, even if I have a neighbor who have about 400 cows. But anyhow, what I was a bit curious of is did you set up some special goals that you would like to reach in when it comes to reduction of or was it just to make it better than it is today? And another question maybe, how big investments is involved in changing the farming processes that are today?
Who want to respond?
I can try to respond. In terms of sort of improving the state of the Baltic Sea, we were very clear from the very beginning that this project is not putting up any targets for that. I mean, this is a 3-year project. It's mostly about, I mean, developing the agro-environmental advisory tools and instruments, and reaching also through the demonstration farmers. So we are a bit away from the Baltic Sea itself. We did not put up any specific quantitative targets for how much we should reduce the loads. We felt that this was not possible to do. And actually this long time, this is not a quick fix for sort of solving the Baltic Sea. That is also one of the communication things we have been trying to mention. We forgot it now in the introduction here, but this is quite obvious to us because of diffuse pollution of nutrients is something that takes a long time to transport throughout the soil masses into the creeks, rivers, lakes, and eventually to the Baltic Sea. So this is not a quick fix, but it's something that needs to be done and should be done. In terms of investments, you can see here, those of you who can read Swedish, that it's mentioned here 1,800 investments done or planned on these demo farms. And this is nothing that the project funded. This is actually a summary of the investments done on these demonstration farms the last 10 years, plus the coming 5 years. So we did an inventory of what they had done of investments that had a positive contribution in reducing loads of nutrients, increasing efficiency or anything in that direction, and also the planned ones. So in the project itself, we did not have any resources for that. Actually, it's not eligible by the funding source to actually fund investments of this kind. So, but we did a lot of pre-investment plans. So several of the demonstration farms are actually, by all means, they can be loans from commercial banks or agriculture banks, are actually doing some of these investments now in the future.
Okay.
At least partially we answered the question. You can take it up.
The thing is, the last point you took out in this is, of course, if you have a list like this, you say 2,500 farmers involved, 1,800 investment plans, 300 events, 300 advisors. That's hard evidence when you start to talk about communication. That means you have involved people that also have adapt your activities in the sense. And this is a very clear message to all of you project leaders all over, or priority area coordinators, or in whichever role you are. If you can engage these kind of people in 7 countries, and you can keep it up and you can promote it further on. We will continue in a while also trying to see what kind of other assisting measures there would be. But we have still some questions here, so I will give the next question.
Hello, Damon from Gothenburg, Western Sweden. My perception of the media in Sweden, in any case, often is to put a bit of a negative spin on often stories about EU. How did you perceive the media to receive when you were trying to communicate with them now?
Actually, in Sweden, on the Swedish level, we didn't work very much with media. In the Baltic Deal project, the Federation of Swedish Farmers, where I work, the organization, they work a lot with media. So we have left this part for them, and we have not been doing a lot in the Baltic Deal, actually. Then in other countries, I know, for example, Finland, as a partner in the Baltic deal, they have been working quite a lot with media. Lithuania, yes, and some more. But on the Swedish part, we have left this to the federation. Actually.
So the federation then took over that work package for the project then? Right?
No, actually we didn't have a huge work package just for media. I mean, the work package was communication. So we have involved, for example, as I said before, we organized 2 journalist trips where we invited journalists from all around the Baltic Sea to visit farms and to make them to give them some knowledge about the issue, about the problem, because all are not aware yet.
I just want to mention that the media and the journalists invited, we didn't aim for sort of Dagens Nyheter or the main journals or newspapers. We focused upon the agriculture journalists. So in that respect, also the Swedish agriculture journalists were interested in this cooperation. So, but the mainstream media we didn't aim for in this project. I mean, I don't think it was sufficiently sexy for mainstream media, because we didn't have any sensations, we didn't have any major problems or any big solutions. So I think we focused a lot on the agriculture media.
Do you agree that media in Sweden can be a bit Eurosceptic?
Well, I'm actually a Norwegian citizen, so it can even be worse than in Sweden. And I don't know about the other countries whether it's positive or negative, but I can hear from your voice that you're not Swedish. So so where you're from is probably more positive, I guess.
I think it's still a matter of if you can deliver things that people can understand, like the story from Baltic Deal. I think it's not longer a matter if it's EU or not. It starts to become farming, and it starts to become green farming. And then it happens to happen within EU. And I think that's also part of showing results in the end. And when you deliver results, perhaps also the picture in media can change one day. I think we have been too blurry in many projects, not really delivering the results. Not having the list of okay, we didn't have any money, but still we can develop 1,800 investment plans. I think that is hard currency, also delivering this.